Hello and welcome everyone, I am duckyobrien and today I'll be going over a game called Endzone, A World Apart. Endzone, A World Apart was developed by Gentlymad Studios, it was published by Assemble Entertainment and Whisper Games, and it was released onto the PC on March 18th, 2021. The current MSRP is $23.99 US. As always, the release date and prices may vary from region to region. Alright, I want to get into it. This is basically a management sim, kind of like Frostpunk. You are leading a band of survivors in what appears to be an apocalyptic end time kind of scenario with radiation and all of that. Is pretty in-depth. I'm going to start a new game and I'm going to play the tutorial because this game is pretty darn complex. It's pretty complicated. So I'm gonna start the main tutorial, and the crazy thing is we are probably not gonna finish it, so it ends with the raider tutorial. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through enough of it to show you guys what the game is like. You can get a feel for it, get an idea. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough. It's also pretty chill if you play it at a low speed. At the normal speed, you can play it on a second monitor.
We finally left the end zone. Just look at this beautiful scenery. It's marvelous, even though it's a bit different from what we had pictured. We were able to secure a few basic resources and are storing them in our bus.
I don't like talking over the people talking, even if it's fake. But yeah, I was gonna say if you have a second monitor and you want to play a game while doing something else, this is pretty good. Also, this guy has a really nice voice, Arthur Schwinn. Whoever's voice acting this guy, I want him to be the narrator for everything.
I'm glad we prepared ourselves well for this kind of scenario, especially since our inventories in the end zone ran low. Don't forget that if you need additional information, you can look at our survival guide at any time.
I'm just gonna throw this in here, but this game has one of the best tutorials of any game I've seen. There is a built-in, basically, encyclopedia or glossary, and when you click on a underlined term, it goes into that definition, whatever, and it shows a little GIF of how to do it. So this is probably the most detailed tutorial I've seen, and I really appreciate this because I don't like looking at a wiki when I'm playing a game.
Well done. Everything you need to know should be right here. I think the time has come for us to at last build ourselves a new home here. Before we can construct buildings at all, we have to assign the profession builder to several settlers so that they can take care of construction contracts. In general, it's your responsibility to decide which tasks are important and how our settlers are supposed to be distributed to attend to them.
Again, if you don't know what a builder is, you can click on it. It goes there, goes to professions. And yeah, incredible tutorial. Not only that, because most games will just be like, here's how you use this control to do the specific task. And then they don't really give you hints as to like general practices that would help you do well in the game. So this game does all of that. So I really like the tutorial. Alright, professions are here, and then you can assign 3 to be the builder.
Alright, your builders will be ready as soon as construction contracts have been issued. It's time to start focusing on our key and most basic need, water.
If you don't like this, you can skip it.
The first thing we ought to do,
if you're impatient, you can build a jetty. You can there's speed icons here. Let me pause real quick. These are heat maps. There's radiation, which changes with the rain and etc. There's a season and there's a weather. It's a little like forecast. It's pretty involved. If you played Frostpunk, you're gonna be familiar with this.
Very good. The jetty was completed as planned. Now we have a place where we can collect water. There are other possibilities to gather water too, but the jetty is the simplest and most cost-effective method. We can obtain and store water from different sources, like a jetty, rain collector, or well in the cistern. The cistern should always be in close proximity to a water source, so that our water carriers don't have to walk too far.
I'm gonna literally build it next to my jetty because I'm lazy. Builders will come in. You can see the paths if you click on the building. They're coming in here. They bring the wood from the main hub, put it here, then they build it. I like the sound when you're speeding it up. Okay, now that you're gonna see people go out here, collect water, bring it back.
Great. We have now installed a working water supply, and water is now transported from the jetty to our cistern. Consider hiring more water carriers if you don't have enough settlers available. You can never have enough water in storage. Now we should focus on food production. It's important to ensure the supply right from the start. A gatherer's cabin, a hunting lodge, or a fishing hut can directly remedy the situation. I suggest starting with a fishing hut, since we're already located near a lake.
Okay. There are a lot of professions and there are a lot of buildings you can build. Again, it's gonna take a while to go through everything in the tutorial, but I highly recommend it because it is gonna make your life a lot easier. I'm gonna assign 2 fishers. I'm gonna speed up to max. Average health, rich food. These are adults and these are children. So if you have cabins where couples can live in privacy, they'll procreate.
Good work. We've now taken care of our basic supply via food and water. Make sure that you have enough food and water on hand at all times, especially if you want to upgrade your settlement. A population that grows too fast can quickly unbalance your food and water supply, bringing major difficulties for you if you don't watch out. Crops are another excellent way of getting food because they constantly grow as long as the soil is moist enough. Each seed has different yields and growing times. This means that it could take some time until your field is ready to be harvested, in contrast to your fishing hut, where production can be right away.
Okay. We can look at the, ooh, it's wet. Moist. Okay. To build your cultivated field, it has to be large enough, so just keep that in mind. Oh, how do I... Oh, it has to be built. Yeah, that's right. Okay, we can choose the seed, so if you look at the black salsify, it takes longer to grow, but will give you more food. Whereas the cabbage will take less, but give you slightly less food. So I didn't do the math, but I'm just gonna go with cabbage.
Looks good. Remember that we need the widest variety of food sources to stay healthy. You should also plan ahead for drought periods that might come when it's not going to rain. Stock up on food and adapt your production to avoid bottlenecks. I'll show you a few more strategies later on.
Yeah, I appreciate this.
At the beginning, we don't have much scrap wood or other resources. We could build a production building, but to obtain resources as fast as possible, it's best that we start gathering right away. Assign a Gather All Resources task. All the settlers who haven't been assigned any profession by you are going to accept these kinds of tasks. In addition, settlers distribute resources within your settlement.
Okay. And gather wood. There's gather all, but it says to place gather wood. Go to here, gather scrap. Find free settler. We'll take one from the water. Okay, let's speed it up now. Watch them.
Since we now own plenty of resources, we can start to build a real production building. Then you don't have to always make efforts by hand that collecting is taking place. Production buildings are not only easier to manage, they are also distinctly more effective than simple tasks. Don't place production buildings too far away from your settlement. You'll be able to change their working area at any time later on. Right on. The best thing for us to do now is to build a forester's lodge to automate our supply of wood and make it more effective at the same time. Foresters are not only able to chop down trees, they reforest areas with trees as well.
Okay, I think that's pretty cool that it reforests it. Because it's kind of annoying when, you know, you just want to build something to collect resources and it's no longer useful. You have to tear it down and build a new one. Okay, I'll build like here. I'm gonna demolish this. I'll speed it up now. He came and carried the wood there.
Good job. You might want to change this building's working area later on to tell your workers where they should get their wood from. Ah, and for your information, if you want, you can also tell your forester's lodge that they only ought to attend to reforesting an area in order to create a lush, green forest which generations to come can use. Very good. Now we ought...
Okay, so I skipped through that because I wanted to show you guys this. If you want to move the working area, it's here. You can just simply move it around, so I think that's pretty neato. Again, there's a bunch of small tweaks that just make it pretty easy to play. Easier, I should say, not easy. It's definitely not easy. Okay. It's set to max speed now. Obviously, it would take a lot faster. I mean, take a lot faster. Take a lot less time to get to this point when you're playing a real game, because you're going to be doing multiple things at the same time.
Great. You can change the working area for the scrapyard too. We can recycle scrap into 4 additional resources: cloth, metal, plastic, and electronics. We'll do that shortly, but for now we ought to take care of your settlers' needs first. Our people want a place to sleep and live. Cabins fulfill their need for safety and privacy and increase the confidence of their inhabitants. In other words, building cabins increases their willingness to start families and reproduce, if you know what I mean.
I don't know. Please explain in detail. Okay. So yeah, you need housing to make sure your people make more people. And this is where I'm like, yes, I want to be the city planner. Oh no. Can I cancel this? Let's do this again. I'll build it the other way. Has to be perfect. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Let's speed it up now. My cabbages, they're growing. Look at it. Beautiful. My junkyard. I how there's animals just eat them.
Besides cabins, you can also provide sturdy houses and shelters as housing. Sturdy houses withstand sandstorms better and have an increased storage capacity to boot. Children living in houses gradually fill up the house's stockpiles. Settlers do not reproduce in a shelter because they lack privacy.
So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Let's return from our excursion into housing and refocus on scrap. With the help of a recycler or refinery, scrap can be sorted into 4 different resources. A recycler always takes scrap apart, one resource at a time, while a refinery automatically produces all 4 resources. To start off, you should build a recycler and produce cloth.
Okay. So you got a lot of valuable resources, but I think what Gath said was right. People are the most important resource. You need workers. Should be set to cloud by default, yeah.
You can instruct your recycler to produce a different resource at a time. It's important that you focus on the resources you really need, at least in the beginning. Cloth and metal look like good options if you want to equip us with protective clothing and tools. Happy settlers are industrious settlers. That's why we ought to look after our people and protect them against the surroundings and dangers, like radiation. So let's start by transforming our newly recovered cloth into protective clothing. A tailor will be able to help us with that.
So you can make items to help your villagers, like tools and clothing, and they do have like a durability meter. Radiation suit.
We categorize environmental radiation into 4 levels. No radiation, low level, medium level, and high level radiation. The radiation changes constantly and is influenced by weather and contaminated rain. Protective clothing helps to protect us against this kind of radiation, but it takes a while before it's produced. And production relies on a steady flow of incoming resources. Try to establish production chains at an early stage and start to stockpile goods so that some are always on hand.
And then the highest level, Gojira.
The tools we brought along from the Endzone are slowly but surely running out. So now, let's focus on manufacturing new tools. The tools will help us to work effectively. We'll need metal for that, so we'll prepare for production by building another recycler, which we'll commission to recover metal from scrap. After that, we'll need a workshop to enable the manufacturing of brand new tools.
Okay, we built a workshop. Oh, I need another refiner. Build a, what are we building? Whoa, what is this? Recycler, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm really tired. I'm losing my mind a little bit. Wait, actually, no, what the heck? No, that's not what I want. Cancel. I want a little bit of space so there's room for people to walk through, you know? I think of the peoples. There we go. Technician. Okay, I can speed it up. It's all the resources it needs, I guess. Okay. Scrap tool is cheaper. Can I build roads? I would love to have roads. My village is slowly growing. My people are industrious, always working. It's making metal tool, right? Yeah. Why is it taking so long? Oh, it's metal. Whoops! That was producing cloth. I am a goddamn idiot. I completely forgot to switch that. That is a big mistake. It's what you call a ID10T error or a pepcac. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. Alright, that should fix it now. Yeah, I was so confused because I was like, I'm pretty sure it would have been done by now. I'm the problem.
With our lovely new tools, we are now prepared to work effectively. Should you ever run out of metal, keep in mind that you can also instruct your workshop to manufacture tools from scrap instead of metal. Though they won't be quite as effective, it's still better than being forced to work with bare hands.
True.
Down in the Endzone, we had sufficient time and resources to educate ourselves properly. But our children don't have this luxury. We ought to build a school and pass on what we've learned. As a result, they will be able to survive and work better and more effectively.
Can't be centered. I'll have to... okay. Yeah, it's gonna bother me. Next time I'll build the houses with 4 blocks in between so I can center it based on the school's location. Because this is what I wanted to do the first time. Have a school here and all the housing like this. And kind of build around the school. Alright. So there is an added benefit the old man is gonna tell you, but if your children are more educated, then they know how to use their tools better, so that it will wear down a lot slower. So I like this because everything in the game kind of has a purpose, and it's kind of obvious if you play the tutorial. If you don't, then it's just like, what the heck is this, you know? But I like how they explain it, and then you have a reason why you want to build this, so your tools last longer, so you don't have to keep making them as much. Oh no, there's no water.
Perfect. Besides the fact that educated children work more effectively, we'll also teach them to be more careful with their protective clothing and tools. This, in turn, leads to them staying intact longer, and we conserve valuable resources. Now that our population is starting to grow, we ought to again turn our attention to the topic of food production. We are already accumulating fish and tilling our fields. A gatherer's cabin will now enable us to gather mushrooms and berries from the forest nearby.
I figured like you would build that first, you know. Alright, I'm gonna build this and we're gonna call it quits here. See, you don't want to build it too far away. Gatherers count 2. Completely forgot to slow the game speed down.
Very good. As you can see, the gatherer's cabin is an effective possibility to get food quickly. But watch out. After a drought, it's going to take some time before the plants have regrown. As is the case with most buildings, here too, you can relocate the working area at any time. Although we are sufficiently supplied at the moment, our survival depends on diligent planning. If we can lay out a plan for an orchard, then we can start to plant fruit or nut trees that we can harvest after a few seasons.
Alright, I'm gonna call it here. You guys get an idea, hopefully, of what the game is like. I haven't shown off everything you can do, so obviously it's a lot more complicated. But you should get a feel for what the game is going to be like when you play it. Anyways, thank you so much for dropping by and watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, things you'd like to see or for me to cover, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I will definitely try my best. But yeah, I'm enjoying my time with this game. It's very chill. It's something you can do while you're doing something else, or if you just feel like playing a management sim. Anyways, I'm gonna call it here. Once again, the game is Endzone: A World Apart. It's out now and the MSRP is $23.99. Alright, I'm gonna call it quits. I am so tired. Anyways, hope you guys are staying safe and sane out there, and I will catch you guys next time.